Hey guys, Duff here. I'm going over a tutorial on how to make an XCOM 2 voice pack, and I'm going to do this in the simplest way possible. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'm assuming you guys know how to set up the SDK for XCOM 2 and that you've read the quick start documentation to know how to get all the libraries installed and you're good to go. So jump right in. The first thing we're going to want to do is actually edit our audio before we even touch any project files or mod files. Alright, right here I have a folder full of some audio I extracted from Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl, and it has some basic attack lines. I'll go ahead and play one. Now you'll notice that the audio is very clean, very crisp, and most of the audio spoken by soldiers in vanilla XCOM 2 has a radio-like effect, so I like to apply that effect to my audio. And I do that with a free program called Audacity. To do so, you can go to Audacity, File, Edit Chains, and you can add in this really great effect. Once I resize this window and you can see it, you can add in a chain at the bottom here. So I'll just call this chain, tutorial chain, and we will go to insert right here, and we'll type in, well, actually don't need to type anything. Right here at the bottom you'll see equalization. That is the effect that we're going to add to our audio to make it sound like a radio telephone. And speaking of telephone, that is the effect under curve we're going to want to have selected. So you have telephone selected, click OK. That's under the edit parameters button, by the way, and hit OK. And it adds equalization there. If you double click on end right here, we can add another command, which is going to be the export wave, since wave is the file format Unreal Editor uses. And that's the format you're going to want your files to be in. So I'll double click export wave, put it up here. You can't edit any parameters, but it's going to save it out. It's 16-bit wave, which is exactly what you need. So I'll click OK there. So make sure your equalization's first in your chain and then export wave. And we're ready to do some mass changes to our files. Click OK. So I have my folder here. I can click in this little spot right here to get the URL of this folder selected. I'm going to Control C and copy that. I'm going to go to Audacity, File, Apply Chain, and I'm going to select my audio, so tutorial chain right here. That's the chain I want to use. I'm going to click Apply to Files. And then right here, say this isn't the folder that you need to be doing your audio in. In the file name, I'm going to paste that file directory. Hit Open, and it will bring up this folder. I can Control A to select all the files in this, and then open those. And you'll see it go through each one, apply the effect, save them, and close them. If you go back to the folder here, you'll see this new folder called Cleaned. Inside of that, you've got your new wave files. So I'll go ahead and bring the new one in here, and I'll bring the old one in here, and we can compare the two. So here's the original.
Херачь их, пацаны!
And then here's the edited.
Херачь их, пацаны!
Really great effect, really simple to do, and I think all the audio files should have this done to them, or at least some sort of equalization pass to give them that effect so it matches well with the other soldiers' voices. So that's all done. We can close Audacity. So say we've done all the audio files you want to do, and we have them all ready to go. No, I don't want to save. So cleaned folder, these are our files. Next, we're going to go into XCOM Mod Buddy. When you open it up, you'll have this window here, and you can select all sorts of things. I like to select the example voice pack, give it a name down here, so we'll call this tutorial voice pack, and you can see where it's going to create it inside of your documents folder, Fire Access, Mod Buddy, and then XCOM folder. And I'll click OK, and then you'll have this window. You've created an XCOM 2 project. Congratulations. If I go into my folder again, there's my clean folder, and I can go to my XCOM folder. So this is Documents, Fire Access, Mod Buddy, XCOM. You'll see I have two here. Tutorial voice packs we're working on. This is the old one. I'll go ahead and delete that. And we go in here. You can see you got your project files, SLN. Well, actually, this is your project file. I'm not sure exactly what these are for, but they do all open in Mod Buddy. They probably contain some of the project properties and stuff like that. Inside here, you've got config, content, localization. Inside the content folder, you have these 4 UPKs, and you're not going to use any of these. These are like template UPKs. They already have the sound waves and sound files in them. And we're not going to use any of those. We're going to start from scratch. So in your Mod Buddy, you're going to open up content. I'm going to select all 4 of these guys right here, right click, delete. Yes, they're gone. Open up this folder, they're gone. And we're going to create our own from scratch. We won't worry too much about this. This will be our final stuff where we start editing the links to our files and everything. We'll do all this later. So you're going to go to Tools up here at the top, and you're going to go to XCOM 2 Editor. Now when you load this, it may take a while. It may throw some errors in your face. Ignore them. It's fine. As long as you get to the content browser, you'll be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and open this, pause the video while it loads, and I'll be right back. Alright, and we're back. We have our content browser open, and the first thing we're going to do is go down here to New. It's going to take a little while to load. It's brought up here, and we're going to type in the name of the package. So for here, we'll just call it Mail 1 Voice and Tutorial. You can name that whatever you want. It does not really matter. It's just as long as you can use this name later. No spaces. Try to keep it simple. For the name, this is going to be the name of a Soundbank, which I'm not even sure if we can select from this menu. Let's make a Soundcue. Sure, that'll work. So select your factory here. It's going to be your default file that's in this UPK. It doesn't really matter. We may delete it, change it. So for now, just go ahead and select Soundcue, name it whatever you want. So I'm going to call this Mail 1 Voice Soundcue, and I'll know to delete that later. Alright, hit enter. And it is now on our content browser, and it's going to be under New Packages. Sometimes when you start up the program for the first time, you may have some of these dragged down so you can't actually see the packages section down here. So make sure you minimize all this, get the packages, and go down to your New Packages right here. And that's where this is going to be. So if you double click on that, you'll get this window. And this is a Soundcue editor. Or actually, I'm sorry, if you don't double click, if you double click it, it'll try to play it. But if you right click and go to Edit Soundcue Editor, it'll bring up, you know, one of these windows where you can edit sound cues. But we'll get into that in a second. So not going to worry about this. We're going to import our audio. So we'll go here, go into Content. Let me go back. So we have our 9 wave files here. I'm going to go ahead and click and drag and drop them into this folder. And they're going to import. I'm going to get this window here. It's going to ask me to name them. It's going to say, hey, is this the package you want to put them in? So we're not going to change that at all. And the name of the file. We're going to leave it all the same. So I'm going to click OK to all. Here are sound files. So I can double click on one of these and play it. And that means we are good to go. I'm going to go. Alright, that's great. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this Soundcue file here. If you delete all of the files inside of a new package, it will delete the package itself. So we want to just go ahead and delete this one, delete force, and bam, that's gone. So we have our new package with some sound waves in it, and we're going to save. And you're going to do this a lot. You're going to save a lot because this program is very unstable, will crash, and you do not want to lose a lot of work. And I'm going to save it in our XCOM Fire-Access Mod Buddy XCOM folder, tutorial voice pack, content, and I'm going to save it as the mail voice1 underscore tutorial.upk. It's the file we gave the name of the package. I'm going to save that, and it will now show up in your external folder up here. So it's loaded and it's no longer in the new packages. I mean, it still is, but we're not going to mess with that one anymore. So you're going to click on this one in your external, and that's where we're going to be working from here on out. If you want, we can go back to Mod Buddy, go into your content folder here, right click and add existing item. So it's going to bring up the folder, go into content, there's your new file, double click, bam, and that's it. Now before, you may have noticed there's 4 different UPKs in the example voice pack. One of them was for like just the data, and the other one is going to hold a link to your sound banks. We're just going to use one file. It's a different way of doing things, but it still works just fine, and I think it's a lot simpler to work with. So we'll go back to Unreal, and we're in our package. So we've got all these files, these sound wave files here, but we need to link them to sound cues. So what we're going to need to do is add a sound bank, and to do that we can go to Actor Classes tab at the very top, Make sure these two boxes are unchecked, and we can type in voice bank. We get a list here, and you want to add XCOM character voice bank X2. You're going to right click, create archetype, and it will pause a little bit, and then it'll ask you to enter a package, group, and object name. So our package is tutorial, or was it mail 1 tutorial, mail 1 voice tutorial. There it is, mail 1 voice tutorial. Forgot the name of the project already. And the name of it, we'll just call it mail 1 voice bank 0. And 0 is going to be the first one we make, and it will be the only one we make. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Go back to content browser, and you'll see we have our new voice bank down here. Double click on that, and it'll bring up the voice bank editor. These are all of the actions that your soldiers can say. Will have sound effects tied to them. So there's like alert, engaging hostiles, halt, and you can search up here too. So if I want to search for like fight, there's not going to be one for fight. Maybe shoot, no. Fire. Let's go and say, ooh, suppression. I like suppression for, so suppression or suppressing. That's going to be under XCOM character voice bank. You notice there's two categories here. There's the X2 and the regular. The regular is from XCOM 1. This was the sound files that were used in XCOM 1 or the actions. And the ones in XCOM Voice Bank 2, X2, are the new ones that I've added. So they're for like new things like extracting, objective related things. But you're going to want to utilize both of them if you want to have a really like full set of sound files. So under suppression or suppressing is where we're going to add our first sound cue. Now we don't have a sound cue yet. All we have are these sound waves, and we want them to be randomized so that each time like they do a suppressing action, it'll say a different sound file, and it'll mix it up so it doesn't sound like the same thing over and over. And we have 9, which is a really great number to have for a sound like this. And I could also use these 9 for maybe something else, especially since it's in Russian and I don't speak Russian. It's not going to bother me. I'm sure it will bother some Russian-speaking people. But for now, it's not that big of an issue for me. I could use this on many different actions. But for now, we're just going to do suppressing. So I have all these 9 attack files. We're going to need to create a sound cue. So you can right click in this window here, and you'll get this menu of creating a new object. And you can go to new sound cue. It's about right in the middle. So after I click that, we get a window that pops up. It's going to ask you to put the package. You don't need to change that. It's going to be the same one that it's in. You're going to need to give it a name. So since this is an attack sound cue, I'm going to put attack underscore cue. I'm going to hit OK. And there's our sound cue editor. And you see our sound cue down here alongside our files. And the reason I like to say, I give it the same name as the action, that's obvious. But with this type of ordering, if you're looking at the content browser in this type of view, where it's like detailed, it will always show up at the bottom, the cue will. So you have your sound files and then your cue. So inside of the sound cue editor, this looks pretty confusing, but it's very simple. I'm going to show you how simple it is. So we want to randomize these 9 files to play every time an attack action is given. So I'm going to select all 9 of the sound waves. I'm going to go back to my sound cue editor, right click anywhere in this blank space, and I'm going to select random attack, and it'll have an attack 9 or whatever the last file name is you had selected. I'm going to click that, and it's going to put all 9 of my files in a random switch on this board. Now this won't work by default. I can hit play and nothing's going to play, but if I click and drag a line from the speaker to my random switch here, I can actually now, yeah, there's 1. There's 2. You get the idea. It will randomize each one, and that is it. The sound cue is done. There's some other things you can do at the bottom here, like change the volume multiplier, but we can do that later in a mass changing of all sound cue volume. So I'll go ahead and exit out of this, and we are done with sound cues. Now what you're going to do is assign the sound cue to the sound bank action. So we're using suppressing. In here, in your content browser, you'd select the cue, have it selected. you go to your sound bank, find the action you want to assign it to, and you're going to click the green arrow. Bam. Puts it right in there. So if you had like many that you wanted to use it on, you can click on a few at the same time. Or you can just keep going through, click on a different sound cue, assign to the next action, click on a different sound cue, assign to the next action. And I have this filled out right here, so if you can see all the actions. And regarding the actions, both X2 and the regular one are used. As for which ones are used, that's not quite clear yet. I'll provide a list in the description. That's pretty much like a script list that tells you, these are the ones that are filled out in the default files, and these are the ones I think you should at least have, sounds for, or the ones that at least the game's using a lot. I know that most of the ones in the regular XCOM sound bank are used, minus a few at the bottom where it comes to like Soldier VIP and stuff like that. But it's better safe than sorry just to have everything filled out, and you can do testing with the debugger, which I'll go over later, to make sure like at least the sounds that you want to work are working. Once you're done and you have a bunch of sound cues, you may want to change the volume, and you can do that by selecting all the sound cues, and you can either like right click on one sound cue and check show only sound cues, or you can check up here in the box and click sound cues, and it'll show you all your sound cues. Then you can select all of them, and then right click on any one of them, and there's sound cue node properties. You can click on that, and then you can change the volume for every single one of your sound cues right here. I usually like to put it right at 1 because it lowers it to 0.75. So I put it right at 1, hit close, and it will change the volume. If I go down here, click on this, volume multiplier to 1, and I'll do it for each one of them. And another thing, I don't know if this is required, but I've seen this mentioned some places. Select all your sound cues, like we just did. Right click, go to go to sound classes, and it has master selected by default. You want to change that to voice. Supposedly, this is how the game will do the balancing for your sounds. So if it's a voice, it'll play it, above the music, and match it with, where that sound should be heard. Again, I'm not sure how big of a deal this is. I've just seen this mentioned in a few places, and I do it, just better be safe than sorry. Now, for testing purposes, when we go into the character pool or the Armory and click preview, the only sound file that's going to play is dashing. That's going to be like your preview sound file. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and put the attack sound cue into this so that when we do test it in the Armory or the character pool, we can make sure that that works. I'm not sure why this is the sound that they chose, but I guess it's like a confirm order sound, and it's just a good generic idea to get what you're going to be listening to, especially since you're going to definitely be telling your people to dash a lot. I guess it's a good sound to listen to and preview. So I'm going to go ahead and assign dashing to this and save. Now we're going to need to add our voice archetype that's going to link to our sound bank. And to do that, we're going to go back to actor classes at the top and uncheck these two boxes here and type in XCOM character voice. This is this one right here. Right click again, create archetype. We're going to put it into our Male 1 voice tutorial folder. And the name has to be different. Thank you, someone in the comments, for pointing this out. But the name has to be different than the actual UPK itself, which is Male 1 voice _ tutorial. So we're just going to call this Male 1 voice arc. And we'll click OK. We're going to go to the content browser. We'll see we got Male 1 voice arc in here. We'll double click on that. And this is where you set up the sound bank, or link the sound bank to it. So we're going to select the only sound bank we have. Go up here. You're going to click this plus sign to add a new item. There you go. So we can click this green arrow right here, like we did with the sound cues, and assign the voice bank to this archetype. These three boxes down here, leave these blank. I'm not sure if these will be utilized later on, but for now, you don't need to change anything here. So I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to save. So I saved everything in my UPK, and now I've gone back to ModBuddy. And what we're going to want to do is open up the XCOM content.ini in your config folder. And we've got two lines here. One is for the male and one is for the female. And since we only have a male voice, we're going to go ahead and delete the female line. And then we're going to need to change a few things in this line. The first one you're going to want to change is the template name right here. Now it says male voice 1_rush, and this is just like pretty much a short code nickname that we're going to want to give the template to match up everything. So this is going to be tutorial, TUT, just abbreviate it, and then we're also going to want to change the archetype name right here. The archetype name is two different things here. You've got this male voice 1_Russian, and then a period, and then voice underscore male voice 1_Russian. The first one is going to be your UPK file name. So for us, that's going to be male 1 voice underscore tutorial. And then the second one is going to be the archetype that we just created. So if you need to, you can jump back over to the content browser, and our voice archetype is right here. So male 1 voice underscore arc. So change this right here to male 1 voice underscore arc. Let's save that. We're also going to need to go down here to the localization folder in the XCOM game.int. Again, there's two different sections here, one for male, one for female. I'll delete the female one, and up here is going to be the template name. So that template name that we used on the XCOM content is going to be the male voice 1_tutorial abbreviated. So I'm going to go ahead and change that, copy that, and paste that right here. And then the display name is going to be what shows in game in the voice selection categories. So we're just going to call this tutorial voice and save that. The final part before you start building your mod is going to go to right click on the solution below the solution here on the project name, tutorial voice pack, and go to properties. And this is going to be what shows up in your workshop, what shows up when you're selecting the mod from the XCOM launcher, and the description that's also going to be in the workshop. You can change all this after you publish to workshop, but every single time you publish or update your mod on the workshop, this is going to overwrite everything that's on the workshop. It's a huge pain, so whenever you do, make sure you save everything or like copy everything that's in your workshop description that's live to like a text file or something, and you're going to want to paste that back in to the edit workshop screen on Steam after you've updated, because it will be overwritten with whatever's in here. So this can be anything. The name, we're just going to call this tutorial voice pack, and save. And then you're going to build. So at the top here, you're going to click build and build solution, and it's going to go through, make sure everything's linked up correctly, just do a quick test, and actually build the mod, put it into your mod folder in your XCOM Steam folder. So when it's done, at the bottom you'll see build succeeded. And that lets you know everything went good, no errors or anything. It will let you know if there's some errors, and then it'll kind of give you some information up here. Most errors, I'm going to say, are name related, like maybe you didn't name the template name the same, or maybe your archetype name isn't the same as your UPK, or this isn't the same as your voice archetype in your UPK. So those are going to be the first things you're going to want to check each time. There's also some other things to note when you start changing the name of the project. Like if you change the name of your complete mod project, you may get some errors there, and this down here should give you a good idea of, hey, maybe you should change this name or change this back to whatever. So let's go ahead and debug this. We need to close down the content browser. You cannot start the debugging process without closing down the content browser. So we're going to go to debug, and we're going to start debugging. And this screen will pop up when it's done building and ready to debug. So you're going to want to select your voice pack here, tutorial voice pack, and the name that shows up here is going to be the name of the folder, the project folder. When you publish it to a Steam Workshop, it will actually show the name that you typed out in the workshop properties, with spaces and everything. But for now, it's just going to show the project folder name. So select that, click play. Alright, once the debugger launches, it's going to look just like your game, your full game, but it's going to have some changes. At the top right, you'll see some new options here. The one you'll be worried about the most is character pool. And at the bottom, you have two new options for tactical and strategy to jump right into those game modes without having to load into a campaign or anything like that. But first, we're going to click on character pool at the top right. You're going to either create a character or select a character and make sure it's a male. Because that's what our voice is assigned to, and you're going to go change the voice, and your new voice is going to be all the way at the bottom where it says tutorial voice. Click preview, make sure it sounds good. Sounds good. Could be a little bit higher. That's something you can change later when you go to Soundcue properties and the UPK and Unreal Content Editor, but you know, this will work for now. Cool, so I'll select that voice. Sounds good. I'm gonna right click out of here, and that's the only character I have created, but make sure you remember the name of it because you're gonna need to just go by name when you're adding it to your mission. So next we're gonna click on tactical because that's where we want to test this mod first, and you're gonna go to choose map data. This is little instructions here that tell you how to start this thing. So choose map data. I usually just select the first one, don't change anything here, and click accept at the bottom right. And then before you actually generate the map, I know it says generate map next, you're going to want to go ahead and create your squad. So you're going to go to choose squad, maybe blank, it may have some people in it, go ahead and remove everyone, and then add unit. And in here, this is your unit right here, you can go to character pool and select the character that we created that has the voice assigned to him, because you cannot change it in this list. So character pool, and that is the character that has the voice assigned. Save and exit. And then click generate map, and then you'll see it start building out the map. This can take a few seconds, but it's pretty fast. And as soon as it's done, you'll be able to click start battle. You will see some red screen errors pop up every now and then. Just right click through them. They're not that big of a deal. It's like right here. Just right click.
Site coordinates locked in. Move to secure the area. Neutralize all hostiles.
Alright, so here's my guy. Now I know that dashing is pretty much the only one we really have set up that we can test out at this point. But at this point you could test out, like, you know, Overwatch, Hunker Down, stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a rush order and let's see if he says it. That's good. Sounds great. This is where you could definitely test a bunch of actions. You can put in, like, you know, 4 units all using the new voice pack you've created to make sure you have options to test. And that's about it. We're done with debugging. And you can always hit the tilde key here beside the 1 key, bring up your console and type in quit, or you can hit Alt F4, quickly get out of here. So let's go back to tools, publish mod, bam. So you'll see here it auto populates what you had in the mod info, the description, voice tags or mod tags. They don't seem to work. I've typed in voice 1,000 times, never seems to stick. I think that's going to have to be something that Firaxis does on their end. You can also change your preview, mod preview image to anything you want. That'll show up in your Steam Workshop as the thumbnail. And then we're going to go to upload and create an upload mod. I'm not going to click this because I'm not going to upload this crap onto the workshop, but that's it. It will be posted to Steam. It'll probably ask you to link your Steam account and all that stuff. I've already done that here. I don't even remember how that went, but that should be pretty straightforward. That's it. If you guys liked it, you know, let me know. If there's any questions, feel free to add me on Steam. I'm Zuff McGruff. You can ask me on YouTube. I think I have a Nexus profile. You can ask me there. Ask me on Reddit. I'm Zuff Daddy on Reddit. So let me know what you guys think, and good luck. Have a good one.